Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the July 8th, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing on our agenda is our meeting minutes from last week. Gentlemen, do we have any additions or corrections?
No.
I move to approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County held on Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, July 1st, 2025. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and next up is planning. We have the applicants. All right, well, this being time set aside for a public hearing, would you call the roll, please, Kim?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney Tarnowski.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination regarding of a proposed subdivision amendment application and rezoning to lot number 1 of the Laughing Bear Orchard LTD moderate subdivision submitted by Kim Welty Allen, Agent Cap Allen, on property located at 14757 Road 26, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 11.89 acres more or less. Located west of Highway 145, north of Road P, situated in Section 35, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, in N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of June 2025, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, will you give us an overview on this, please?
Yeah, the Allens are proposing to amend their existing Lot 1 of their subdivision, the Laughing Bear Orchard. They are proposing to split off the house from the remaining orchard acres so that if and when they get tired of managing all the orchards in that property, they can sell it in the future. All the utilities are existing at the house. They have a 60-foot access to Lot 1. Then there will be a 30-foot easement access that continues to the house there at the bottom right-hand corner for access for them in the future. But that allows direct access for the what would be Lot 1B. They would retain Lot 1A if and when they decide to sell. Their covenants, they wrote this into their covenants that is permitted for the one-time re-subdividing that lot. I think that covered it.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Allen?
Don said it, just prepare them for the day when the rest of that orchard is too much and let somebody else carry on with it,
Okay.
because I'd like it to stay there.
So then it goes 8.88 rounded up to 9 acres and 3 point, whatever that is, 0.1.
Correct.
Okay. And then the access, the 30-foot easement does come in, so that is deeded, dedicated, so that's consistent and current. Okay.
Yeah, that 60 foot goes through what is currently Lot 2 of the subdivision. to the county road.
Questions, commissioners?
No, I just appreciate the narrative you included with your application.
Questions?
No, I don't have any.
All right. Well, then, at this time, I will open up this application to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and you may address the board at this time. All right, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this application and bring it back to the board. Gentlemen, any other questions, concerns?
No,
I don't have any.
pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Okay,
I would so move we approve proposed subdivision amendment application and rezoning to Lot 1 of the Laughing Bear Orchard LTD moderate subdivision submitted by Kim Welty Allen, agent Cap Allen, on property located at 14757 Road 26, Dolores.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed subdivision amendment application and rezoning to lot number 1 of the Laughing Bear Orchard LTD moderate subdivision submitted by Kim Allen, agent Cap Allen, on property located at 14757 Road 26, Dolores, Colorado. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you
Okay,
very
sir.
much.
You are approved.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks.
And with that, I will close this public hearing. Okay. Do we have the applicants for the next public hearing?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We've got 2 minutes, so we can bring them on down.
Okay.
And do you have any, I guess we've got time to sign a Mylar if you have one. Do you want to do a Mylar?
Sure. We've got 2 for signature.
All right. Yeah, we've got 2 minutes. Ready? All right, we are at 9:11, so with that, this is the time being set aside for a public hearing for Joe and Jo Anna Benson. Would you call the roll, please, Kim?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney Tarnowski.
Here.
Kim Casella, County Clerk. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination regarding a proposed single lot development in AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Joe and Jo Anna Benson on property located at 15248 Road 22, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 47.10 acres more or less, located south of Road S, west of Highway 491, situated in Section 39, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 16th day of June, 2025, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, would you give us an overview on this one, please?
Sure. The Bensons are proposing to split off roughly 12 acres on the west side of their property with the existing residents. They're on Road 22, and retain the other 35-plus acres with the other existing house there to the north. Access is off of the county road. There currently is an access at the northeast corner from the highway, but CDOT is proposing that they terminate that access there and just use the county road for access for both properties, both residences.
Okay, would you like to add anything else? No? Okay. So I guess my question for access is, off of 22 Road, it looks like, is that how you access it now?
Yes.
Off of 22, so in that far north corner?
Correct.
So is there a deeded access or easement across there also, I'm assuming?
There will be on the
Okay.
plat, yeah.
Okay. So that way because if CDOT has them close that,
Correct.
there wouldn't be anything off of 491 at all. All right. Questions,
No, none at this time.
Commissioner? Questions?
Is that large brown, is that the barn? Is that your barn?
Do what now?
The brown depicted, there's a brown depicted
That's the
unit.
It's a barn.
Anything else? Okay,
That looks fine.
all right.
I know what
Well,
he's talking about.
then at this point, I will open up this application for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against the application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I will close the public comment session of this application and bring it back to the board. Gentlemen, any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have nothing further.
I don't either. It looks like it's all within the code, so conforms to the code, so
Yeah.
no problem. I move to approve this single lot development in AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Joe and Jo Anna Benson on property located at 15248 Road 22, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 47.10 acres.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed single lot development AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Joe and Jo Anna Benson on property located at 15248 Road 22, Dolores, Colorado. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sir. Ma'am, you are approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll close the public hearing.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
Okay, Don, anything else that you have before we have until 9:30 before we go on?
We have a boundary line adjustment
Okay,
for Busted Bronc Ranch.
all right. Do you want to bring that up? Oh, there he comes.
Yeah, this is a Kendall Burgermeister. He's representing Busted Bronc Ranch. Basically, there's a
So
little
I'm going to interject here. Is this another public hearing or?
No.
This is
Just a boundary adjustment?
Boundary line
Okay.
adjustment.
Yeah,
All right.
no, it's not a scheduled
Okay.
public
And
hearing.
not until 9:30 do I have another scheduled hearing.
Okay.
We're
Thanks.
just taking care of everything else in between.
Basically, there's a triangle section north of Highway 160 that was created when CDOT put the highway in. It's been there for, I don't know, 100 years somehow. That area to the north, in the big yellow rectangle, so they're just proposing to take the east end of that triangle section and connect it to the larger parcel there to the north.
Can you blow that up, Travis, so that everybody can view it?
I think there's a prelim plat with that, Travis, or a separate document in the file. There's an existing highway access for the property, and there's deeded easements that continue with the access roads that have been there for the residences. Yeah, it would have been a separate document in the drive. You can blow up that other picture there if you go up. Not that one, that one.
Mhm.
So right there where you see the access road and easements, that east end would be conveyed to the north parcel.
So they're separate now, correct?
Correct.
Two separate, the triangle, we'll call it a 22-acre piece, and we're just combining the two together?
Just the eastern third of the triangle would go north to the 68-acre parcel.
Yeah. So that access road that is under the E in parcel and the C in acre, splitting the property right along the road. So that way, that's the divide between the two properties, the east half being going with the property on the east side, and then the west half going with the balance on the west side.
So do we
That makes
kind of
sense.
have that determination of that, what it is? Is it 5 acres, 10 acres? Do we
It's
know?
11 point something.
Yeah, just over 11 acres would be conveyed north.
So almost in half.
Correct.
Yeah, 11.16.
11.16.
So we're still ending up with 2 lots.
Right.
They're
Starting
just-
with 2 and ending with 2. It's just a smaller
11
triangle and a
acres.
larger.
Yeah, 11 acres are going to the north.
Yeah, it'd be
Correct.
merged
And
with the
the-
141.
And the easement is, or the dividing, the demarcation is the road that currently exists.
Right, and the dedicated easement still goes to the property there to the northwest. There's an existing residence there, or cabin.
Okay. Well, they're plenty big enough.
Right.
Questions? Gentlemen?
Access is all right, so.
Yeah, access is there, and I don't think it changes anything as far as access. If there has to be access to the northern property because there's nothing there, that still has to go through CDOT anyway.
Yeah.
Off of Highway 160, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the main access for all three parcels.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old elk ranch that was north of
Yeah.
there.
Questions, Commissioner? You probably know this better than most of us.
I really don't have any. No, it's not.
All right. What's your pleasure?
I would so move we accept the boundary line adjustment application submitted by Busted Bronc Ranch LLC agent Kendall Bergmeister on properties located at 44501 Highway 160, Mancus.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the boundary line adjustment application submitted by the Busted Bronc Ranch LLC agent Kendall Bergmeister on properties located at 44501 Highway 160, Mancus, Colorado. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sir. You have been approved. Thank you.
Okay, well, get that to me, I can get that taken care of.
And we do have that Mylar here for signature.
Okay. We have time.
Thank you.
Anything else? 4 minutes.
Not anything off the top of my head.
All right.
Thanks, can't forget the air conditioning on.
I didn't do anything. Read your mind.
Travis, you have anything to report? You want to do yours? Can you do it in 2 minutes?
I can do it in 30 seconds.
All right, well then let's go
I
to
have nothing to
the,
report. I was in the lovely state of Arizona at 109 degrees for 3 or 4 days, and due to the heat, I come home early.
well, that was wise.
So there you go, there's my report.
All right. Ms. Purcell, do you have anything?
So just wanted to let you gentlemen know that we have had several applications for the position that we have open in our office.
Okay.
We will be taking applications until that position is filled. We received, I don't know, 7 or 8 before 10 o'clock yesterday morning, so just working on that.
Good. Good, thank you. Stephen, do you want to start, or do you want to wait?
I think I'd rather just wait.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got 2 minutes. Commissioner Lindsay, do you have anything?
I just have city council tonight, and basically that's all I have to report.
All right. Commissioner Copenhaver.
You're not needing that much time here. I actually had a very good weekend with grandkids here. Took them all fishing and camping and had an enjoyable last weekend. So hope everybody else had a good 4th of July too. So that's about all I got to report.
All right, very good. Well, I, like the other two with the holiday weekend, don't have much to report either. There was a lot going on out there, but nothing as far as normal day-to-day operations of the county. I do want to highlight again that we do have coming up for auction some of our disposal properties. So if you're interested in any of those, they're open to the public. You can go online. We do have that, or it's Purple Wave auctions, and you can find that if you guys are interested in anything of public surplus. So remember that, or tell your friends, family, and you are more than welcome to bid on that along with everybody else. And with that, it's 9:29, so if Leaf Properties, I see Mr. Kinsey back there. If you want to come on down, sir, we'll go ahead and get ready.
Don, which file do you want first? Do you want one of the files open? There's 3 on here.
I don't need any files open.
All right. Well, it is now 9:30 on my computer screen, so this is a continuation from 6/24 of 2025 for a public hearing. Would you call the roll, please, Kim?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney Tarnowski.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, County Clerk. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for new evidence on remand for review and determination regarding a proposed high-impact permit application to approve a retail sales use submitted by Leaf Properties Incorporated on property located at 27078 Road N, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 3.78 acres, more or less, located south of Road N, east of Highway 145, situated in Section 7, Township 36 North, Range 15, West, N.M.P.M. Such hearing shall be in addition to the public hearings held on April 23rd, 24, and April 30th, 2024 on this application, to allow the applicant to respond to the written and electronic submittals from the public and for such new information as is relevant to the rehearing, and for the Board of County Commissioners to issue a written decision. The hearing will be held July 8th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. in the Commissioners' hearing. Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the planning office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the planning department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 30th day of June, 2025. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. First published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tarnowski, our attorney, and let you give the posture as it sits today.
Yeah, Commissioners, well, we're here today on a continued public hearing. So, you know, this application was before the board just on June 24th. On remand, the board heard, you know, from the applicant about this application, and there was public comment. And then as part of the applicant's presentation, the applicant submitted a few written submittals to the board during the course of the hearing, and there was a concern raised by Commissioner Copenhaver that, you know, the public and the board hadn't had really sufficient opportunity to review these documents. And so we continued this public hearing to today for a pretty specific purpose. And so based on that due process concern that was raised, I think it's appropriate to have really a limited public comment specifically about those written submittals. And they're specifically, you know, kind of a summary of the public comment that had been made in 2024 is how I would characterize that. And then also an appraisal was presented to the board 2 weeks ago. And so I just want to remind the board and the public and the applicant that the goal here is really to have a fair process. And so everyone's had an opportunity to kind of make their case. Today, there's an opportunity to specifically address these these written submittals that were presented. This is not an opportunity for more public comment that's not about those written submittals. There's already been ample opportunity for that as part of this public hearing process that the board has conducted. And so I really just want to reiterate that's really the scope of the evidence that the board is looking to hear today. And then the board is going to, the discussion basically is going to come back to the board, and the board's going to have a discussion about the application and make a decision whether to, approve or deny this high impact permit application.
Okay. All right. Questions or comments, gentlemen?
I don't have any.
Okay. Well, then with that, I will open it up for public comment, and the only public comment that we will be taking is as it is concerned to the appraisal that was submitted to us. The only documentation that was submitted to us at our last hearing in June. So with that, I covered everything. Then I will open it up to public comment, and it was specific to the appraisal that was submitted 2 weeks ago. So please come forward to the podium, state your name and address prior to providing your comments, and you may address the board at this time. And again, it's specific to the appraisal.
My name is Amy Jacobs, and I live at 13299 Road 27.6, Dolores. And on June 24, the applicant rehashed old testimony for 2 hours, but there was zero information that should alter the BOCC's vote. In attempt to counter our concern about property values, he added that bank's appraisal to the record, and that appraisal did not even look at potential changes in values for nearby properties. That's not even in there. So that's why the proponent had the appraisal's author give his opinion remotely, but that the author of the appraisal that spoke had only looked at dollar stores outside of our area and only looked at properties that are already exposed to substantial traffic. Values for nearby residential properties will decline, in my opinion. It just seems like common sense, and the evidence that was provided didn't counter that at all. my real concern is safety. The applicant also talked about the traffic study as if it was new evidence, but you know, we all know it missed nearly every accident at the intersection and did not even consider safety on Road N.
So we really need to
Okay.
stick just to the appraisal.
Okay, so that's really all I have then. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, again, guys, this is just to something that was submitted at the last hearing for the documentation of the appraisal. Come forward, sir. Thank you.
My name is Brad DeMond. I live at 15149 Road 28. Regarding the appraisal and the hearing on the 24th, the appraisal stated that the property would be split. That was not in the initial application, the documents on record. It was pointed out at that meeting the property could not be split because of the parcel size. The applicant then, viva voce for the record in front of the board and viewers, said, oh, I'll open up a flower shop or I'll open up another business. So this application and appraisal has gone from one commercial business on the property to splitting the property, but not splitting the property, to potentially two commercial businesses on the property. The documents of record do not reflect that. The application is in error and inaccurate. The appraisal said this property will be split, page 41. It's very obvious there's been a lot of churning with this property in order to meet some sort of board approval. There are too many anomalies and there are too many inaccuracies in the documents submitted and the testimony before this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Dale Ward. I live at 28177 Road N. In the last meeting, they presented Kimley Horn crash data in Table 3 in the public meeting. This was part of the record.
Wait a minute. How does this go to the appraisal?
This is what they presented last time that we have not had a chance to comment on.
So there was an opportunity for public comment after the applicant's presentation on the 24th.
That is correct.
So the purpose of the public comment today is really an opportunity for the public to comment on the written documents that the public did not have an opportunity to review, you know, at the time the public comment was held.
I'm referring to Table 3, which was presented in the last meeting. Table 3 showed one accident for the period between 2018 through 2022. CDOT data, which is available publicly on their site in spreadsheets, shows 6. So they said 1, there are 6. If you extend it out, then there's 8, if you go a year on either side. I have the URL, I have the data here if you guys want it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Can you hear me?
Bend it down.
Like this? Can you hear me now? How about now? Okay. I'm Dawn Utrop. I live at 27418 Road N. In regards to the appraisal that was hired by Leaf Properties to appraise a projected commercial improvement in regards to impact on surrounding property values, nothing was addressed there. But I feel that his opinion was not valid. It's a conflict of interest. He was hired by him. How can that be fair? Just asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. All right, seeing no further public comment, I will close the public comment of this portion of this application. And now I will bring it back to the board. But I will give Mr. Kinsey the opportunity to address anything of the 4 public comments. You can turn on your mic, sir, please.
No?
Yes.
The appraisal was just brought in to show what the value of that particular store would be on that particular portion of that land. It never really, I mean, in his valuation, he had to look at it just on that piece of land. Otherwise, he'd had to take into account the value of the house and the rest of the land. And he was just valuing that small portion of the property. I really don't have much else to say. We've done everything that we think we have been asked to do. We think we've done everything right. We relied on the zoning, the planning maps, the overlays. We've filed for a high impact permit application. We met all the thresholds. We tried to address all the additional concerns that have been raised in all the meetings. We think we've adequately done that. We spent a lot of money with third-party professionals, experts, trying to give third-party, independent, objective opinions about some of the concerns that have been raised. So we're just here to respectfully request that you guys approve this process and this application that we've made and give us approval to do what we have a vested right or an entitled right to do on this land. We're just here asking you to give us that.
And Commissioners, just to add to what Mr. Kennedy was saying, as to if there are additional questions that the Commissioners have as a result of the public comment today, we're happy to address those too. And certainly if there are conditions that the Commission, whether the Commissioners want to entertain with respect to this application too, we'd be happy to discuss those with you as well if you believe that there's, one or more conditions that would address your concerns about the use too. I can't guarantee a response on them, but certainly that is an option that's available to you under the code as well.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any questions or concerns on the appraisal for the applicant?
No. I guess my question is, the statement that gentleman made about the splitting of the property, is this a valid concern?
So Commissioner, on that, I'm not sure if that was directed to us, but as Mr. Kinsey said, the appraiser was specifically tasked with determining the value of the commercial portion. Well, the property is one property, but specifically tasked with determining the value of the new commercial operation on the property. So that was the specific focus. And as Mr. Kinsey said, therefore, it's splitting out the existing residents on the property too. So just looking at the value of the change in the property, not the value of the property as a whole.
That was the directive given to him so that he could establish a value. We never proposed to split the property. We can't. I mean, the code wouldn't allow subdivision of that land into 3 separate parcels going through a subdivision process. So we're just trying to establish the value of that. We asked him for his opinions on what it would do to neighboring property values. He gave those. Those are done verbally and not in writing. We can get them in writing if we needed to, but he felt that commercial zoning typically enhances values and doesn't decrease values. And part of the reason for giving the appraisal was to show what, developing commercial use on this property could do to a value of just a portion of that property. So the same thing would apply to properties next door, properties up the street. I think the big concern maybe had to do with traffic. One of the first things we did was go to CDOT and do the application. I think it took us a couple of years to get their approval. The number one thing they look at is public safety. The number one reason they'll use to turn you down is public safety. We met all their requirements, and the intersection actually would handle a lot more traffic than this particular use is proposing to add to the intersection. So we think we've addressed all the public safety, all the property value issues. We showed a lot of pictures of other retail uses in the area that apparently meet the rural character of the community, whereas somehow this one did not. We tried to show that there was lots of other commercial uses up that road and others. So in any event, the one quick comment though, the intersection at the other end of Road N has businesses on every corner and doesn't have nearly the turn lane efficiency that this intersection has. So we think we've got.
Please, we are conducting a meeting here. This gentleman has the opportunity to address the board now. Please respect that.
You know, everybody's focused on the tenant. If you go back and look at all the videos, this really should be a discussion about use. And all we're asking for is a retail use on the property. And that retail use is ours as a matter of right based on the zoning maps and the zoning of this particular parcel. So we're just asking you to give us the ability to do what we have every legal right to do. And we hope you'll see things our way.
Okay, so Mr. Kinsey, I do have some questions on the appraisal also. Because thumbing back through it again, typically in an appraisal, they will view or give at least an elevation or 4 elevations of the piece of property. And I do understand the concerns of putting a Dollar General as it's depicted south of town, and in your own words, you said, you know, this is ugly, I wouldn't want this thing here either. So I'm referring back to that, and then you had several other pictures. I think you had 5 of different properties located. I think that's, I mean, here again, I understand that an appraisal is an opinion. So this is an opinion also, but looking through it, there is nothing in there that shows an elevation of the property, and I think that's a valid concern. Is that a conversation? I mean, there were, you know, an opinion of the board. You know, do we like number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or number 5? I personally like the one that was addressed in Flagstaff, Arizona that you presented. But without that and I realize that this is just an appraisal and opinion, but is that still a conversation? Is what are you proposing here? Is it a building like it is south of town? Because I understand that concern also. In your own words, you understood it, and it's ugly. Yeah, I mean, that's putting it bluntly. It is ugly, and it does not really fit with that character. So I guess my question to you is what is that proposal? Because this opinion does not depict that to me anywhere in there, unless I just missed it. But I didn't see any elevations of the actual piece of property that we were appraising.
Well, he asked for budgets, he asked for plans, he asked for the architectural plans, which were not finalized at that time. So what he used was a Dollar General prototypical plan. The one in Flagstaff I developed, and that really sort of was to create a certain look for the building. Just kind of came out of our team's heads, and that's what we've developed. We can do anything here. I don't think there's architectural review in the county. We'd like to put something there that looks really nice. I like the one in Flagstaff too, but maybe that's because it's my creation. I also like the southwestern look because that seems to be sort of a theme in the county and the town. But we could do anything that the commission felt needed to be done to make the building fit or blend with the rural character of the county. He was looking just at the building and the use. And as you know, that appraisal is based more on income stream probably than the actual real estate itself. So,
and Commissioner, just to add what Mr. Kenzie's saying on this too, one of the substantial difficulties, although we don't have the appraiser here, one of the substantial difficulties in appraising is trying to tease out the effects of individual aspects of a building design or something like that, because to use a sales comparison approach or something like that, you would need to figure out the effects of individual facade treatments on sales comparisons to be able to make a determination of the value impact on that, which, appraisals are already an art of sorts. I mean, there's certainly science to it, but that would require something that's potentially is not possible here. Yet at the same time, Mr. Kenzie's point, to the extent the commission has particular feelings about facade treatments, for instance, there is the possibility of condition approval upon a particular facade treatment to address concerns about that.
So we weren't proposing any specific look. We just wanted to make sure that everybody understood. We would try to develop a look that blended with the rural character of the community.
Okay. Because again, we're speaking of just the appraisal. That was my biggest question and concern, that I saw the lack.
He had the benefit of seeing just the standard Dollar General prototypical elevation. If I'd have given him the elevations I gave you guys, he might have enhanced the value. He was looking at just the ugly building that you guys see down south.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I do want to let the board know we conducted this kind of public comment portion of this hearing specifically to address a potential due process concern for the public, but there was no discussion or questions to the applicant from the board at the conclusion of the applicant's presentation on June 24th. So if the board has more questions of the applicant, I don't think those need to be strictly about the appraisal at this point. The board does have to make a decision about the application as a whole. So if the board has more questions for the applicant, I would encourage you to ask them.
did I answer your question, Mr. Candelaria? I'm not sure.
Well, I think what you said in general was that you are open to the visual inspection or the approval of. You presented 5. It may not be one of those 5, but it could be something different. I think that's a valid concern of the entire community. I mean, like I said, in your own words, the thing south of town is ugly.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely open to comment
it.
and input from the commission and the community.
And then the second big concern for me was, and we haven't talked about it, and again, I'm not a tree killer. I don't like killing trees, but I do know I've driven on that road for 31 years. So I can tell you it impacts me more than anybody. But I also know how to read the code, and I also know the decision I have to make. So is there some thinning of those trees? Is there, because we really haven't heard, or I haven't heard, what is the mitigation plan to take care of that specifically in the 3 months of winter time? Because that intersection does get very slick, very icy, and there's a gradient there, probably 3 or 4%. I haven't shot it, so I don't actually know, but you can slide into that intersection. And I've done it. So I'm raising my hand saying I've been a person that slid into there, which creates a hazard. So we haven't had the comment or the time to really question what is the plan with where the driveway is going to be. Again, I think I brought this up last time. Is it wide enough? Do we need to move that lane off the county road wider? I'm looking at a mitigation effort.
Well, I think in the initial meeting, I suggested that we would assume with the maintenance crews that maintain the driveway and the parking lot and the areas for the commercial development, that they also take on that as a part of the responsibility if it comes to, snow clearing or sand or salt or whatever needed to be done. If the commission or if it was felt that the trees needed to be removed, I'm more than willing to consider that as an option to get the project approved. We bought the land to develop as a commercial development. I like the trees too, but if it creates a problem that needs to be resolved, we'll help solve the problem. We will solve
And
the
with
problem.
respect to that in particular, there's also the possibility with the driveway access and rule with driveway access for the county road and bridge folks to make their assessment and need additional changes too. And I'll note that we did submit a mitigation plan with the original application that remains part of the application materials. This is to some degree a new concern, but there is a traffic mitigation fee that the county collects in connection with high impact permit approvals too. I might be misremembering the exact amount, but I thought it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 here, which could go to pay for certain other elements of traffic mitigation as well, or salting or other things, maybe tree trimming.
Yeah, there would be an impact fee that would be collected
Yeah.
at that point in time. That is correct.
We understand that. It's too bad they're pines, otherwise we could look at topping them or doing something else, but we can cut the big trees and start little ones that won't shade the road again. There's a lot of things we can do.
Those again are, my concerns that I think I brought it more than once.
We're open to any suggestion there, and we're open to any suggestion on the elevation of the building. I mean, within reason, the elevation of the building.
So we have the opportunity to ask any other questions that we may want. Gentlemen, do you have anything else, Commissioner? Anything?
So Commissioners, if you don't have any more questions for the applicant, ultimately, you need to make a decision on this high-impact permit pursuant to our land use code at 2202.8. The BOCC shall render its decision based on the proposed use based on A, that the proposed use is in conformity with the code, B, the proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other properties in the area and is consistent with the code. C, public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning. Further, D, if the applicant fails to meet these decision criteria, the permit shall either be approved with conditions ensuring compliance with the decision criteria, or it shall be denied, and the validity of an approved permit is contingent on continued compliance with the performance standards and conditions. Permits that do not maintain compliance will be subject to suspension or revocation in accordance with the regulations. Please let me know if you have any other legal questions.
Question? So then,
I mean, to me, there is no way you're gonna put this store there without adverse impacts to other people in that area. It's going to. How much that's going to be, I think it's what we have to decide whether it's acceptable or not. Because it's gonna adversely impact a lot of people. Like I stated last time about the farms across the road intersection right there. Those people have farms on down that, on Road N to the east. They're gonna be moving their equipment back and forth. It's gonna impact them. I know what these impacts are. My farm down south of Cortez, we have to go through that intersection at the N.M.P with our hay and equipment and everything, and it impacts you. All that, the amount of traffic impacts you tremendously. So I don't know how you can,
so I guess I have a
there's
question
gonna be a lot of adverse impacts.
for our attorney. This was just for a remand for new evidence and then just to issue the written, to issue the written decision.
Yes. I do think the board needs to make a decision having heard all this additional evidence, right? So the board made a decision in 2024 based on the evidence at that time, and then the way I would characterize it, the court identified some procedural issues that needed to be corrected so that the board can issue a valid decision, and that's kind of what we're here to do today. The board needs to issue a decision, and that includes a written decision ultimately, because that's required by the land use code, but the board needs to make a decision based on all this additional evidence that's been heard as part of this process to have a fair process for reviewing this application that conforms with the requirements in the code.
Okay.
Since,
So then we're gonna write,
Yeah,
we're gonna write a whole new decision.
well, since I made the original motion and it was remanded back to us for specifics, I sat down and wrote half of a novel. So to take into consideration traffic and safety rules, risk,
The intersection at 145 County Road N was rebuilt a number of years ago because of the number of accidents along that section of highway. And traffic has been increasing ever since. So we're looking at probably rebuilding that and re-widening that in the future. It's probably not going to happen because of the money situation with the state of Colorado. Now, with the addition of a commercial retail chain store, we will add more traffic to an already heavily trafficked state highway and to a county road which has been seeing traffic increasing also along there, along with some of the hazards that's been expressed here today. This will not only add private vehicles of customers and staff, but also box and semi-traffic or semi-truck traffic going in and out of that retail commercial business. It's also a shallow turn that goes in there. It's short of the highway, which needs to be extended. This will also increase, which I know, the possibility of more accidents at that intersection. After our last decision, 4 days later, we had a van load of kids broadside a car that had pulled out from County Road and into the highway. We were very fortunate that we didn't lose any kids or any lives in that accident. I was there. The testimony and listening to the Sheriff Nowlan stated that the store would exacerbate traffic during rush hours and school bus routes, causing backups and aggressive driving. He also stated it's not a safe intersection, period. I've reviewed it. Going further into safety, Cortez Fire Chief expressed concerns of water availability and response times. Now, the applicant has mitigated and stated that there would be a 10,000-gallon water tank on that property. But with the delayed response times from Cortez and Dolores, being it's on the edge of both of those districts and mutual aid would be called, if you don't have a fire truck there, something to pump that water stays in the ground and not on the fire. Going a little bit further, like I said, you can have all the water you want, but unless you got something to put it on the fire with, you're in trouble. Now, to skip on to rural character. One of the overreaching themes of our county land use plan is to maintain the rural character while allowing future developments that fits the area. Well, we know, not talking loud enough. There we go. A commercial retail chain box store does not align with the community's desire to maintain beauty and rural character of this area, formerly known as Lakeview 2. It also does not add to the highway beauty, which is designated as the San Juan Scenic Byway. Our Planning and Zoning Committee recommended denial, arguing that denial aligned with the county's land use code and planning priorities, which aim to guide development in a way that supports community needs and safety. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I move to deny this application based on the following: public safety, as previously stated, traffic hazards, fire safety concerns, and disruption of local identity that far outweigh the benefits of a chain box store, especially when alternative retail options exist nearby. The end.
Second.
Hope you can read my chicken scratching.
I think I can get it. I think I can get it close enough. It'll be abbreviated. Okay. Got it?
Seconded.
Okay. I'm behind a little bit here. Bear with me. So it has been moved and seconded to deny this high-impact permit for Leaf Properties Incorporated located on property 27078 Road N, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 3.78 acres more or less, and for the written determination, the issue of public safety, fire safety, traffic hazards, and retail options nearby. Did I miss any of the,
Adverse impacts.
or, and
Adverse
as the
impact.
adverse impacts?
Right.
Those are all, would be the adverse impacts. Okay?
Good.
Yes, sir.
And then, as far as issuing a formal written decision, I would recommend that we adopt like a resolution to this effect when we adopt the minutes next week. Or in 2 weeks, excuse me.
Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Okay, sir, you have been denied, and this public hearing is closed. All right, with that, we're going to go on with our regular meeting, unless you had something else, sir. I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
Am I allowed to comment on any of?
We closed the
We are-
public hearing.
We're closed now, so
All right.
we will move on to it.
I would like to just mention the fact that we went through all that with the fire marshal. And he was okay with the response time. He was okay with the water storage. He confirmed with my fire consultant that that he had no issues with that. So the fire marshal is not opposed to this project. Wasn't last time I spoke with him. And with regard to the traffic study, I think it speaks for itself. Maybe we should have had the consultant come in and go through it in better detail so everybody understood what was done. But CDOT is fine with that intersection and this
Okay.
use. Anyhow, thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right, with that, Dawn, do you have anything else?
No, that's all we have for planning today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for all your
All
work.
right, we'll let you get on with your day. And with that, we're going to go on with this meeting, which is public comment. So the Board of Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. And comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, the public comment session is open.
You want this, Stephen?
Good morning. Thank you for the time. My name is Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21 in Lewis. Last week, my public comment may not have reached out to the viewers because I wasn't close enough to the mic from comments from people that were listening. But anyway, I did want to just go ahead and say there are two things that are being proposed. So this was my comment from last week. Two things that are being proposed that Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Bennett and Congressman Jeff Hurd have put forward, the Dolores River NCA and Special Management Area, and the Gunnison Outdoor Recreation proposal, something like that, GORP. Anyway, those two things impact us as well, not just the Dolores River NCA, but anything that comes into play in this area, especially with the water, that impacts us. Both of those proposals have a federal water reserve included in the proposals. That is a concern. And I am asking that the commissioners look at those bills, both of them, and decide whether this is the good way to go. I liked your decision thinking today, and so I think that's what has to happen with these. You need to put your thinking caps on and really decide, is this what the public wants? If we have to have more public hearings, maybe that's what we need to have. But these things will move forward, and I think they are going to impact private land and water rights. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? So I'll close the public comment session of this meeting, and I will bring it back to the board. But first of all, Commissioner, if you would like to respond to that, which we typically don't do, but I think this deserves and warrants a response to that. Would you like to, or would you like me to?
With the NCA that was proposed, it takes the wild and scenic off, the suitability for wild and scenic off that Dolores River, which will do away with the federal reserved water right. The NCA does not come with one. But what is on there right now as a suitable wild and scenic river that was designated in 74 or 76, whenever that Wild and Scenic Rivers Act was put out, to begin with, it was one of the 5 rivers that was designated to be studied. Ever since then, it's been suitable. The Wild and Scenic does carry a Federal Reserve water right. The NCA actually takes that Wild and Scenic off of there, the way that the NCA is written, and which will get rid of the possibility of a Wild and Scenic having a Federal Reserve water right. So we should be helping to protect that and stopping the studying that river all the time for it to be keep on the suitable list, because they're obligated, the Forest Service or the BLM, whichever it's in, they're obligated to manage that, to maintain all of those wild and scenic outstanding remarkable values. That's what their management program is set for. They have to maintain those, not to let those go away. The last time they studied it, one of the 3 sucker species was one of the designated outstanding remarkable values. And we all know that fish take water. So hopefully, by getting that wild and scenic off of there, we can stop that being studied anymore. And the possibility of, if one of those species, those 3 threatened species actually becomes listed, that's a federal project, and I'm sure some of that federal water will go right on down that river. Hopefully, by doing this, we can manage that in a better way. And I think last time when you were here, you were talking about the boards that's set up on the NCA. Basically, it has county representatives on it and water board representatives on there, enough numbers to help to determine the management strategy that'll be used for that NCA. We intentionally made that list of management occupants to be heavy enough in the water and the land between the counties, and that we can control that and have a management plan that'll work for all of us.
What's the biggest key, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to for a second, then I'll let you go back, is that right now we have no say, we have no control. If they decide they want to let that water go tomorrow, they can do it. With the NCA, and this is not a new thing, this has been happening for 15 years, but now all of a sudden it's like, oh my heavens, what's going on out there? Well, this thing has been being worked on for 15 years. Commissioner Copenhaver has been part of that. So we're protecting the water. We get 3 years to promulgate the rules after, if it is passed, or after that. So we then have a seat at the table instead of where we sit right now. We have no seat, and if they want to take the water, they can. So we do support the NCA. It's out there. We've signed letters of support for the NCA. It's not new, and we are actually doing what we're doing for the protection of the water, because we have thought a lot about it. It's not new. It's not just saying, hey, come and take our land. We're doing because we don't want what happened to N.M.P. We sat in here and we all had fights, battles back and forth, and we ended up with a monument. Well, we're not trying to do that again and end up with another monument. So we're trying to take the progressive steps to do what we can to protect the water. And I know we're taking a lot of heat and a lot of bashing out there, but not everybody has all the information that has transpired in the last 15 years. And it's for the protection of the water, it's for the removal of the wild and scenic, and it's for the 3 years to promulgate the rules. So, with that, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
That's fine.
All right.
I'm done.
So, kind of out of sequence there of taking the opportunity to address something that I felt needed to be addressed. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir. With that, Joe Thine, I see you in the back. If you want to come up and give us an update, I know there's a lot of changes that are happening right now for SHS. So, Mr. Joe Thine.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for the time. Didn't come with a prepared presentation, so happy to answer questions. I think the first thing is, right now there's not a lot of changes for SHS. We're in actually a really good position. Last year we turned an operating income for the first year in a number of years, and so far this year we actually have an operating income that exceeds all of last year. So a lot of really good positive momentum. A lot of that's driven by people in the community choosing to use our local hospital and healthcare services. We've seen a market increase in the people seeking care, and that's been a large part of the fiscal stability for the hospital over the last couple of years. I think the things that are unknown at the moment are what the effects of some federal legislation are going to look like, and then also how the state of Colorado's managing its Chase Enterprise Fund or a provider fee fund. So I guess I'll pause there and see maybe what questions you have as a commission, what other information I can provide. So as you're talking with constituents, you have a good sense of how we're doing as a hospital.
I think, Joe, just to address the concerns coming out of that lawsuit in Denver, and them, I guess, asking for $4.1 or $2 million, that should be an easy answer. No.
So, a little bit of the backstory. UC Health and the state of Colorado Healthcare Department of Policy and Finance didn't necessarily agree on how to designate two hospitals that are operated by UC Health, one in Fort Collins, one in Pueblo. The courts ruled in UC Health's favor, and to date, the state hasn't produced their calculations of how they got to a number that was on a slide that was, released to the press. So both our hospital association and then individually our hospitals asked the state to produce how they came up with that number, what their calculations were, what other options they pursued in order to remedy their error. And to date, we've gotten no information back from the state. That's going on 2 weeks now. We believe that the state has other ways to remedy that other than asking rural hospitals to backfill that fund in order to remedy their error, and we're anxious for the state to engage with our association, with the hospitals, and with the state legislature to find other solutions, because we believe they're out there.
I think what concerned me the most was that we had the second largest number on that breakdown. How does Southwest Cortez, Montezuma County rate the second highest number, for ASBAC money?
Yeah, and thus we've asked for the calculations and actually want to see that.
Yeah, pretty unbalanced formula, I think.
It feels that way. So we'll continue to work with the department and with our hospital association. Both Senator Cleve Simpson and Representative Katie Stewart have been informed. They've engaged from their side to help put some pressure on the department to become a little bit more transparent about their work.
Yeah, I'm sure that they both have a number of hospitals in their region that are concerned.
Yes, yeah. There's 29 hospitals across the state that would have some amount to pay back if what the department put out on a single slide were accurate. So,
you guys have anything?
I think that was the biggest question.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of I don't know if I would call it unrest, but I think there are just a lot of concerns in the community of the people that I talk to of, you know, what really is happening and what's going on. So I thank you for the update, and hopefully they'll go back and watch the YouTube video of you giving your presentation.
Yeah, and when we have more facts, I mean, happy to, you know, think about what those mean. But at the moment, there's just, you know, a lack of information coming from the state. And so as you're working with our representatives and senators in the legislature, supporting them and encouraging them to have good oversight over the department will be helpful.
I'm sure that there's not anybody running around with their hair on fire, but they got the matches out.
Somebody put the matches out.
Yeah.
We're not running around with our hair on fire. And, you know, just like I imagine you are, you know, we're thinking forward into our next fiscal year. We're on a calendar year. And even, you know, with the news from that lawsuit and, you know, waiting to see the details of that, with the passage of some federal legislation last week, a lot of those things, if they're going to have an impact, are going to be in future years. We're planning for our next year as though we're going to continue the growth that we're on and serving more people in the community. We're not planning for a year where we're taking steps backwards as an organization or reducing services. We're actually continuing to look at how we expand services that we have and care for more people. So right now our focus is really on continuing down that road.
And I did talk to Betsy Bear last week, Congressman Hurd's aide out of Grand Junction, so I know you guys have been communicating also. I think she had a Zoom call with a bunch of you all, so if there's anything on our side that we need to do to also communicate with those people, let us know.
I certainly will. I think the next steps are going to be in the state legislature, so Betsy's had an open door for us, as our senators have, which has been great.
All right. Question?
I don't have any. It's just going to be.
Yeah.
Like
we'll wait.
Commissioner said, I mean, if we can help you in any way, let us know.
Certainly will.
All right.
Thanks for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, anytime.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks.
Next up, we'll have our road and bridge department, Curtis Logsden. Hopefully you've gotten your feet wet, and now we'll have a quick and short report just to kind of see if there's any concerns or comments that you'd like to address with the board.
Yeah. Panic one.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
If I
you?
can get you to turn on that mic and pull it really close.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, good morning. I'm not sure, since this is my first time, I'm not sure really how you want me to do this. If you want me to read it, if you want me to go over it, if you just want me to ask questions that you guys might have on it.
Well, I don't think you need to read it to us. But if there's any highlights that you see or something that's coming up, because obviously I have some questions, but just go ahead and go through what you have just briefly, and then we'll go from there. Just
Well, what
quick
this
synopsis.
is a lot of the information that I gave on this report, you guys already know. But this was intended to show you how I intend on giving my reports to you that is statutorily required. I basically am planning on giving you information on just about every aspect that we do with the department. Currently, I am just reviewing, like I told you guys before, I am just reviewing right now the way, the procedures that our crews are doing things and all aspects of the department. And I'm making notes, and I intend on probably having a report back to you in a month or two at the most of recommendations that I have going forward for efficiencies within the department. I have basically so far come up with some areas that, I would say that are liability issues, that need to be addressed within the department. There is some areas that we can definitely improve the efficiency on. One, of course, is the mag chloride program that we have, already kind of talked about a little bit. When we mag chloride, we definitely need to do it in a different way to get a longer lifespan out of the road that we're using it on. Mag chloride was originally used for dust suppressant, but as more and more counties out there decided to start controlling dust, they found out that you can use mag chloride and other products and actually as a surface stabilizer. You don't think of mag chloride as anything that's going to stabilize the road in any significant depth, but it stabilizes the surface. There's one thing also that I'm not sure that you guys have been aware of, but there is a statute that basically says that at a certain average daily traffic level, counties are required to provide dust suppressant. So the way that maybe we have been doing dust suppressant in the past hasn't really been maybe the right prioritization. We need to be looking at roads that are traveled, highly traveled, and providing the dust suppression more on traffic levels than maybe just once within the area. What I didn't have in this one was the actual budget. We intend on having every report I give you, we intend on showing you where we're at within the department on the budget. Currently on the budget, as of right now, up through the first 6 months, we are 38% spent. Typically that's when you have higher road projects to come in the summer, you'll expect it to go up quicker. But as of right now, we're 32% spent within the department on that. Vehicle maintenance division is basically the same. We're right at 32% spent on that. That's pretty good. We don't really, on vehicle maintenance, you don't really expect to see any certain spike in the year, so to say. So we're sitting real good on that for the year. Basically, I'm just been spending time with the district foreman, looking at equipment, at facilities, at their areas of concern within each district. That's what I've been going over with them. I don't think really there's anything else for me to say than what's not already in this report. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead.
Question?
Just, are you gonna mow weeds sometime?
What's that?
Are you gonna mow weeds?
Well, we're currently mowing right now.
Because I was down a couple of roads over the weekend and they were growing in pretty tough.
I believe that, thought it was in here, to be honest with you.
Maybe I missed it.
They've been mowing in Mancos.
Have they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're in Mancos and the Dolores area right now mowing.
Okay.
And then the mowing has, I believe, been done in the Roundup district.
Okay.
So after Mancos and Dolores, then they should be hitting the Cortez district, I believe.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'm done. Good.
Done. Gosh, okay. I've got a few, Curtis. Prior to you coming on and after Rob had left, Travis and I were in a few conversations with Brett. I think it was Brett specifically. and the Utilibond that Fibertel was wanting to use to glue their coupons back in after their potholing, it seemed like a very good product. They were only 10-inch, I think he said 10-inch coupons that they were removing and then replacing. Did you have the opportunity to look at that? Everything that we looked at it and the submittals that we saw, obviously you have that choice to change it now, but it looked
It's a good product. It's a good
appropriate,
product. I have some experience with it, not a whole lot, but I have seen it before, and actually this morning is when they are using it this morning.
Oh, good.
And I wanted to be out there at the time, but what I had Brett do is he's taking pictures, and he was going to take a video because I was curious to see, because the idea there is you have to put enough in the bottom of the hole and then some on the side, so when you press it down in there, it fills all the voids coming up.
Correct.
You have to fill all the voids, otherwise you're going to get water down in there, and that's what we don't want. So he's taking pictures and a video of that this morning. As long as it's done right, it's a good product. So I think that's a good way to go on that.
Okay, very good. Here's the next one, which is kind of, you're coming in after the fact of this, but Road 25 and 184, and I'm looking at both of you. Where are we at with that?
I just exchanged some emails with the property owner there. I think the last thing he said to me was that we are broadly in agreement over the terms. I think there was still a question about like some particulars, like he was asking about a new plat. I need to talk to him in more detail to better understand if he understands that we were going to provide him with a new plat or how exactly that was going to work. But my expectation is that I've drafted basically, draft resolution for the exemption amendment at this point and a draft contract. But the way I had been planning on doing it is getting it in front of the board to be subdivided, or to be split off rather, and then ultimately we would execute that contract afterwards. And I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding there with the contract that I sent over, because it wasn't like ready to be executed because that parcel doesn't exist yet. I'm hoping that we get that exemption amendment, back in front of the board here. I guess at our next meeting is in 2 weeks. Seems like we should definitely be able to get it done by then. The last thing he said was that we're broadly, we have a common understanding broadly about what it is that we're doing. And obviously I've been working with Don Haley in planning, making sure we've got the appropriate surveys and such. So I think we're like where we need to be ultimately. We just need to clear up maybe one or two, things that we need to make sure we both have an understanding of what the expectation is, what's all being done as part of this purchase to realign this road.
So then back to you, Curtis, because obviously we had slated, it was presented to get that intersection accomplished this year. We're now in July. We're not going to get.
It doesn't look like it.
We're not going to get any bidders to bid on this project that would be probably egregious at this point in time because of the length of time that it's taken us to get our act together. So I would just say look at it. Maybe we go to add in November, December, and it'd be a spring project on the CDOT roadway, but not sure how it affects you is what we were going to do with our realignment in there. So that's something that was probably would be taken off of your plate for this year, I would imagine. But anyway, you can look at it and then give us an update later.
Okay, I've been trying to stay up to date on it a little bit. I know that there's a few things that need to happen, but it can't happen until after we actually have ownership of the property. So with that being in limbo, and it being so late to go out to bid, that it's definitely going to be something that's going to need to take place next year. So hopefully things are taken care of though to where we can go out to bid. As you said, that gives us plenty of time to be able to get some good bids back.
Yeah. And then the last one, what's in front of us right now, did you have the time to reevaluate these roads that were presented to us as far as chip seal? Because I know that these were presented for the 16, I thought it was actually 18.2 miles, but this says 16.2 miles of chip seal. Are they, is this still, in your opinion, is this still a go or a no-go?
It's still a go. In fact, we're almost done getting the chips, getting the chips crushed. We're almost done with it. So I have been on the roads. For the most part, I would say yes, I would agree. I think that next year we might look at things a little bit different as far as what roads we are going to do. I want to have more time, I think, to really evaluate. I haven't been on all the roads yet, so I need to have more time to get to know the roads better.
Okay.
I'm really planning on being through the whole process of the chip and seal we're doing this year to see how the crews are putting it down. But from what I have seen from the chip and seal that's been done in the past, I have every belief that our crews do know what they're doing, because the chip and seal that's been put down.
Yeah, I would say they're pretty effective and pretty efficient also.
Yes.
From our opinion, I think, from what we've seen.
Yes, it's some of the best work that I've seen. I mean, to be
I was
honest with
just
you.
curious if your evaluation of the mileage that was presented was the same, and it sounded like it is, so that was the only question that I had. And then also, is this displayed so the people in the public can see these are the miles per the roads that will be chip sealed this year? Because we get a lot of phone calls throughout the year wondering why somebody's road wasn't chip sealed or paved. Well, that's not really how the process works. But anyway, if you could at least get this on your website or our website, we can at least get it out there. And then if you have kind of a delineation of time, that way people are aware of it prior to getting going.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And that's all that I have.
Now, the other question I do have for you is that now, originally, I was going to do this update once a month. Now, I heard that you guys are wanting me to give it to you bi-monthly. Is that correct, or?
I think the bigger concern is, are we giving you enough of what you need to be able to do your job successfully? Because if you don't get in here soon enough, then you're kind of in limbo. So
I don't think I'm going to probably need any. I mean, I'm
okay.
fully.
You can work that out with Travis then. Just get with Travis and.
Yeah, the thought was for the first quarter.
Yeah.
While he's here, to have him come in
Yeah.
bi-weekly, just.
Yep, just to give us updates on anything that you might be having or needing from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I plan on doing that then.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Disaster, come on down.
Hello. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Ms.
Morning.
Stephen. Mr. Anderson. This is a grant request, pretty cut and dry. We submitted the exact same amount to the congressional spending. I didn't get a chance to look at the final figures on congressional spending, but my understanding is they canceled 2025 and 2026. So with that, we found another means of funding, and this is that National Disaster Mitigation Enterprise. And there's no match, no FTEs, no in-kind. They approve it and then we move forward, and they, whenever we spend the funding or they send us an invoice, we just send it right to them, and they send us reimbursement. So it's pretty easy. There's not a lot of portal work and FEMA work and all that stuff like we did with the generators, and it's pretty cut and dry. And it's funding from the fire insurance fire fees that they have in the state, and they collected them all, certain percentage, and they have a second round they're running, and this round there's, yeah, don't quote me, but I think there's 5 other emergency managers that are going for their hazard mitigation plan planning grant through this system as well. And you can get up to $850,000, and we don't need that. So I'm putting in the same amount. We may have to go, it's the same amount if we were to get the congressional spending. I wouldn't be able, you know, how we raised it anyway, so we're not in a bind. At 150.
It was 115,000.
115, yeah, 955, 56. That was kind of the budget that we had. More than enough to get a contractor in and get the RFPs out, all that stuff. So pretty cut and dry. We're going to go for it. We submitted in August. I think August 29th is the deadline. So Phaedra and I will be working on all those questions and stuff. And it's
So this is for everything that we had submitted previously out there to create the whole new
hazard mitigation plan. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So it's same, just a different funding source. So it's pretty easy, pretty cut and dry. And I'm anticipating that we'll go through, the state of Colorado is really big on hazard mitigation planning, and I think their board will review all those plans, because they're not all asking $800,000 a piece. They're going to be asking around this range. So
I'll say, it's you know, we spend so much money on planning, but then planning, and then we never get anything done. It's at some point in time, we've got to quit planning and actually do the work.
And then
you know, it's like
you check the plan and find out it doesn't work, and then you have to replan it.
you know, we.
So when are we gonna write a plan for the plan?
Well, I've had meetings to set meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move to approve this Montezuma County grant application submission form for the Emergency Management Department through the National Disaster Mitigation Enterprise in the amount of $115,955.56 with no cash match.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept this Montezuma County grant application submission form to our emergency manager for the National Disaster Mitigation Enterprise in the amount of $115,955.56 with no cash match. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Say that loud enough.
Is that all you have?
That's all I have.
Okay.
The fire's out up there. We have 911 systems down right now.
Here or in La Plata County?
La Plata County got knocked out. They're going to roll their lines over to us. Can't, because ours don't work. So they're working on it.
Ours don't work either?
Nope. CenturyTel, CenturyLink, yeah. So we're waiting to hear back what happened, because that's 2 of us. We don't know if the other, anybody else has it down at this point, any other counties. But that 9/31, it went down, so we're waiting to see.
So did we put out an alert?
La Plata County did, and we're waiting for the alert.
What?
To let them know, dial the regular number.
That doesn't fit in the plan?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's close to the plan. Yeah, we may have to revise the plan.
All right.
You know
thank
how it
you.
is, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it. With that, last but not least, Mr. Tarnowski, you were the last thing on our agenda today.
Thanks, Commissioners. I was on vacation last week, so I don't have a ton of updates, but I did just want to give the board an update that we will have our Assistant County Attorney starting on August 11th is the plan. Gus Maxwell should be coming on board. So I think that's going to be a great development for my office and the county. I'm really excited about it. I think he's going to do a great job. And that's the most substantive thing I have to provide an update on. But we already went over the road, so I'm still trying to get that queued up.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Having no other business to come before this commission, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this July 8th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.